Until now, we've talked about the good of artificial intelligence and ethics, and that is extremely important because an ethical approach has to do with balancing risk and utilities. And the utilities, as hopefully have shown with these studies, which were studies just from the first years when these modern AIs became mainstream, already in the first 1 or 2 years it has shown that the benefits of 50% productivity increase. I mean, that's nuts. Usually productivity increases are in the single digits, 2, 3, 4, 5% productivity increase is a big thing. And then also 50% in quality and in things that are really difficult to measure, like making us more human, empathy and so forth. So it's really difficult to stop this train, and it will not be, because the benefits are just too large. That is really important to understand. That's also why I wanted to start this discussion of AI and ethics with pointing out the utility, the good of the AI, so how it can help us to become better humans. But it's very important that we also talk about the bad and about the downsides of it. That's what we're going to do here, talking about not only the good but also the bad and the ugly. Well, hopefully not about the ugly, hopefully about the hopeful. And the person who probably best exemplifies all of that is Professor Geoffrey Hinton, our godfather of AI, as we call him, who in 2024 got awarded the Nobel Prize for his advancements in artificial intelligence. In physics, actually the most respected Nobel Prize in the mother of all sciences, physics. So even the grumpy old materialist physicists recognize that in this universe, intelligence has a fundamental role to play, which was very interesting to note for many of us. And so Professor Hinton, for 40 years, has been arguing that if you really want to understand intelligence, you have to be inspired by the human brain. It has to do with neural networks. So same as we have neural networks here, and he actually wanted to understand the brain. And many people laughed about him for decades, like, what's so, but this is just evolution's the solution of evolution to that. We can do much better than that. And they laughed about him, but he was proven right, especially when the big data came along. That's also why this course here in Coursera is called Big Data, Artificial Intelligence and Ethics, because data is extremely important. And once the data was available, he was proven right, and many of his students are now the leading wizards in Silicon Valley. For example, Ilya Sutskever, the engineering driving force behind what became ChatGPT, and many others have been students of his. And Geoffrey Hinton, a researcher with his students, at one point, he auctioned his genius off to the industry here, close to here where I am in Lake Tahoe, in a casino, putting basically a trash can on the table and auctioning it off, and Google was the highest bidder, or let's say that's where he stopped. And then he worked for Google for 10 years and contributed to a lot of the AI developments in that field, until after 10 years he resigned because he got scared of the own Frankenstein he created. And that was big news, and since then he was traveling around and basically saying, hey, look, even I got a little bit scared right now, because this thing is developing extremely fast and it will make a lot of progress. Long story short, the person who probably best summarized it is not the godfather of AI, but the dogfather, Snoop Dogg. He put very succinctly, he put the dangers like that. He said, look, I heard the old dude who created AI saying, actually, technically that's not correct. Hinton didn't create AI, but okay, this is Snoop Dogg, okay? So I heard the old dude who created AI saying that this is not safe, cause the AIs got their own mind, and those mother beep going to start doing their own beep. And then they asked Professor Hinton, they said, Professor Hinton, do you think that the evaluation of the current situation, the assessment by Snoop Dogg, accurately reflects the situation? And the old dude was thinking for quite a while. And then he said, they probably didn't have mothers. But the rest of what Dr. Dog said is correct. Dr. Dog, I mean, if Hinton gives you a doctor title, you probably have it. Right? But yes, well, look him up, Professor Hinton, our Nobel Prize winner. It's he looks a little bit like the Emperor Palpatine when you see him, but he speaks very clearly, and he summarized it like this. And actually, the two things he always said, why he also got so scared about it is, look, AI, there's actually can do things that the neural networks, biological neural networks cannot do. Artificial neural networks can do. And that has to do with, for example, one very, very efficient machine learning technique is called backpropagation. And that's been one of the most efficient techniques that we came up with. And we know that biological neural networks cannot do that. But artificial neural networks can do that. So and he promoted this a lot, backpropagation. So when that sunk in, he's like, well, looking into the future, this is so much more efficient. There's no way we can compete keeping up with what an AI is doing. And that's not only one AI, also we humans learn very slow. Yes, it takes a long time to train a neural network, but once a neural network is trained, we can basically copy paste it because these are just weights on a matrix. They're basically it's just a matrix that's filled out with some numbers. You can copy paste it with the right mouse button. And while it might take a long time for an AI to learn how to drive a car, once you have one AI that drives a car, all AIs can drive a car. In contrast to humans, we all have to learn again. And only after 10 years, they will allow you to have a rental car with a cheaper insurance because they start trusting you to. It takes us also a long time to learn something. The difference is it's infinite economies of scale with digital artificial intelligence. It's just copy paste. So these two things, he always says, like this really scared him, and he has been starting talking about the dangers of AI, including the existential risk, and that's what we will talk about in this part of the talk on AI and ethics.